ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् अज्ञानाञ्जाह्नवीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुखदं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विधुशेखरभारतीम्. Dear friends, with the grace of the Jagadguru of Sringeri, so we have the opportunity to once again look at, continue our study of PRABODHA SUDHAKARA, the Prakarana Grantha written by Sri Bhagavad-Padacharya. So we have already seen this first verse in our first meeting. So let us quickly do a recap and look at this verse once again. This is the Mangalacharana verse. It is a prayer to Bhagavan, which is meant for completion of our study in a successful manner. So let us look at it once again. Nityanandaikarasam Satchinmatram Swayam Jyotihi Purushottamam Ajamisham Mande Sri Yadavadhisham. So Nityanandaikarasam Satchinmatram Swayam Jyotihi Purushottamam Ajam Isham. So all these words indicate to us that Bhagavan is the supreme principle, the supreme consciousness principle, which is in the form of Nityananda, that is the eternal source of happiness, the source of eternal happiness. Satchin Matram Swayam Jyotihi is indicating that Bhagavan is the consciousness principle, which is the supreme self, which is present in all the beings. Purushottamam, the supreme creator, and the supreme Purusha, Ajam, the unborn entity, that entity which is eternal, which doesn't have birth or death. Isham, that entity which rules or which lords over the entire Srishti. To that entity we worship. So these words are indicating to us the Nirguna Swarupa of Bhagavan, and the word Sri Yadavadisham is indicating the Saguna Swarupa of Bhagavan in the form of Lord Sri Krishna, who is the Lord of the Yadavas. So in sum total, this verse is indicating to us that we worship that Lord for the successful completion of our study. We worship that Lord who is both the Nirguna and Saguna, who is available to us in both the Nirguna and Saguna Rupas. This purport we are just indicating in this slide. This is not the exact meaning of this verse, but it is a condensation of the meaning of this verse. So once again, having made this prayer, let us continue our study of this text. We will move on to the next verse. Yam varnayitum sakshat shrutirapi mukaiva maunam acharati so asmakam manujanam kim vacham gocharo bhavati. So in this verse, Bhagavad-Padacharya is sort of presenting to us a rhetorical question. So what is this question? So Yam varnayitum sakshat shrutirapi mukaiva maunam acharati. So this first half of this verse, what does it mean? It says that Yam varnayitum. So to describe Bhagavan, varnayitum means to describe Bhagavan, sakshat shrutirapi mukaiva maunam acharati. So even the Shruti remains silent, just like a dumb person. So mukaiva means dumb person, maunam acharati. It remains silent. Sakshat Shrutirapi. So why we say Sakshat Shrutirapi? Because see, all the texts which are there in the world, except for the Shruti, except for the Vedas, they are all written by somebody. They are all authored by somebody. But the Shruti, which is the most sacred text for us, this is not authored by anybody. We consider it to be the breath of Bhagavan himself. Right? So we consider it to be the source of this text is not any human creation. It is not the creation of any limited mind, but Bhagavan himself is the source of these collection of words which we call as the Vedas or the Shrutis. So even these Shrutis, which we hold to be the Parama Pramana, is the main source of knowledge about all the Atindriya Vishayas, that is the those things which are not available to the sense organs, such as dharma, such as punarjanma, and such as knowledge about Bhagavan himself. This is all available via the Shrutis. So these knowledge about all these things is available to us through the Shrutis only, through the Veda only. but the Veda itself, when it comes to describing Bhagavan, it remains silent. It remains silent. So the famous verses from the Upanishad, Yato Vacho Nivartante Aprapya Manasasaha. So that from which even the words repeal. So even the speech repeals away from that which the mind also does not reach, that is Bhagavan. So when it comes to Bhagavan, the Shruti says this, that even the mind cannot, even the words cannot reach it, it cannot be described. So when the Shruti itself is like this, what then is the purpose of studying a text which is a condensation of the Shrutis? Can that reveal Bhagavan to us? That is the sort of question which Bhagavad Pada is placing before us. So asmakam manujanam vacham, asmakam manujanam kim vacham gocharo bhavati. So by with the help of words which are authored by somebody, can such Bhagavan, which cannot be, who cannot be understood via, who cannot be described by the Shruti, can be understood but cannot be described by the Shruti, can the human words reveal such an entity? So that is the question which is being raised. Yam varanayitum shraksha shrutirapi mukeva maunamacharati. So asmakam manujanam vacham. So the such a Bhagavan saha asmakam manujanam vacham. Our human language gocharo bhavati kim. So can Bhagavan be described, or can Bhagavan be become the object of knowledge of these words? So this is a rhetorical question in the sense that not directly. The answer is obviously that the Bhagavan doesn't just even the Shrutis themselves are being silent in this matter. So how can Bhagavan be described via the human words? Bhagavan cannot be directly described via this human words also. Slide is presenting to you a condensation of the meaning of this verse. So Shruti being Apaurishaya. Apaurishaya means something which is not authored, which is not created by any limited minds. Even the Shruti cannot directly reveal the Ishvara Tattva. So this being the case, the human words that do not also help in this matter. However, this being the case, in spite of this being the case, we have so many scriptures which help us to understand Bhagavan, and that is being described in this verse. Yadyap evam viditam tathapi paribhashito bhavedyeva adhyatma shastra saraihi harichintana kirtanabhyasaihi. Yadyap evam viditam. Even though it is like this, even though it is well known that this is the case, what is the case? That Bhagavan cannot be directly described even by the Shrutis or by any human words. Tathapi, so even that being the case, Paribhashito Bhavedeva, Bhagavan is pointed out or is indicated to, Ishvara Tattva is pointed to by or the sadhanas which are available for understanding Ishvara. These are provided to us by the various scriptures starting from the Shruti and all the scriptures which are capturing the essence of the Shruti. So Adhyatma Shastra Saraihi Harichintana Kirtana Abhyasaihi. So the Adhyatma Shastra Saraihi means what? That scriptures which are written by the great Mahatmas, the great seers, who have understood what Bhagavan is, who know Ishvara Tattva, they have written to us by their own compassion the various secondary scriptures, we may say, the humanly authored scriptures, which are capturing the essence of the teaching which is available in the Vedas. Through that, Bhagavan can be understood, and the sadhanas which are there for understanding Bhagavan is also listed here. Hari Chintana Kirtana Abhyasaihi. So Hari is Bhagavan, Ishvara, Chintana Kirtana Abhyasaihi. So Abhyasaihi, Kirtana, Abhyasa, Kirtana, and Chintanam. So the three things are mentioned here. So these are the three methods which are available to us to reach Bhagavan. They help us in the goal of attaining Bhagavan. So the three things which are described here, Abhyasa, we can take it to be the various disciplines which are helpful for controlling the mind, or the practices, spiritual practices which are helpful for controlling the mind and attaining mastery over the body in the process of concentrating on Ishvara, in the process of understanding Ishvara. So the various spiritual practices. Kirtana. So Kirtana is indicative of bhakti or devotion to God, and praising God through various stotras, various stutis, and listening to various devotional scriptures, sharing with others the various devotional scriptures, etc. That comes under Kirtana. Chintana. Next one is Chintana. What does Chintana mean? Chintana is indicative of an intellectual analysis or a thinking process by which we try to understand Bhagavan. This is indicative of the Jnana Marga. So the Jnana Marga, the Jnana Yoga way. Right? So Hari Chintana Kirtana Abhyasehi. So various spiritual practices, the various devotional practices, and the path of wisdom or the path of understanding what Bhagavan is through intellectual inquiry. So these are the methods which are available to us to understand Hari or Bhagavan. So coming from the previous verse, so in the previous verse, it was the point was raised that Bhagavan cannot be described directly by the scriptures, but even that being the case, through the various scriptures and the various teachings by the Mahatmas and the seers, who have given us the sadhanas in the form of Hari Chintana, Kirtana, Abhyasa. So through these sadhanas, we can definitely understand Bhagavan, or we can definitely reach the Ishvara Tattva. This is the meaning of this verse. So again, though Ishvara Tattva cannot be indicated directly by words, there are sadhanas and the sacred scriptures capturing the essence of the Adhyatma Shastra, which guide the seeker towards Ishvara. So this is the meaning of the third verse. Now we move on to the fourth verse, which is sort of starting us along the main topic in the first part of this sacred text called Prabodha Sudhakara. Kliptair bahubhirupayaihi abhyasa jnana bhaktyadhyaihi pumso vina viragam mukter adhikarita syat. So what this verse is indicating is the glory of, or the importance of this qualification which is called Vairagya, or this understanding which is called Vairagya. So Kliptair bahubhirupayaihi abhyasa jnana bhaktyadhyaihi. So these sadhanas which were described in the previous verse, right? Abhyasa we saw, then Hari Chintanam we saw, then Kirtanam, Hari Kirtanam also we saw. So that is described here by the three words Abhyasa, Jnana, and Bhakti. So Abhyasa is Abhyasa, same as what we saw in the previous thing, the various spiritual practices. Jnana is indicative of Chintana, which is the Vichara Marga, or the process of intellectual inquiry. Bhakti, which is the devotional aspect, the devotional practices. So through these, Bhagavan can definitely be reached or attained. So these are available to us. So Kliptaihi bahubhirupayaihi. So these are indeed available to us. However, pumso vina viragam mukter adhikarita nasyat. So these practices, they may be available to us without, so vina viragam, without the qualification or without the understanding of vairagya, without the practice of vairagya, pumsaha mukte adhikarita nasyat. So the person, the individual, the seeker, does not get the qualification or does not get the capability to approach moksha. So mukte adhikarita nasyat. He does not have the capability to achieve moksha or attain moksha or approach moksha. So this is the meaning of the fourth verse, so captured here. So several sadhanas are available for preparing ourselves on the journey to moksha, but none of them bear fruit without dispassion. So why is this dispassion important? To understand this, we can you see that the whole purpose of the spiritual sadhana, or this achieving Bhagavan, is entirely about concentrating all our energies, our mental energies towards this singular goal, which is moksha. Now, in the process of concentrating our mind to achieve this singular goal to call moksha, the positive direction is focusing our mind towards Bhagavan. At the same time, our mind should not be distracted by various other things which are separate or apart or different from this goal. So we all must have heard about this story from the Mahabharata, where Dronacharya, who is the teacher of the Pandavas, the entire parampara, the Pandavas and Kauravas. So this great teacher Dronacharya once tested his disciples, the Shishyas, who are the Pandavas and the Kauravas. So we all remember the story where he sets this artificial, or he sets up a figurine of a bird upon a tree and asks the students to attempt to shoot the head or the eye of this particular bird which he has set it up on top of the tree. So he calls these the Pandavas and Kauravas one by one, starting from Yudhishthira and onwards, and he asks to focus the arrow to the head of this bird before shooting it. And after focusing the arrow on the head of this bird, he asked Yudhishthira, do you see? So what and all do you see? You please tell me. Like that, he puts a question. So Yudhishthira says, I see that the bird is there. I see the tree and the branch on which it is there. The tree on which the branch is there. I see you all around me, and I see others also. I see the sky also, etc. So I see so many things apart from this bird which is put on the tree. Now, once Dronacharya hears this statement from Yudhishthira, immediately he says, this is not the right time for you to let go of the arrow. Please stand aside. So he doesn't let Yudhishthira let go of the arrow, and he makes Yudhishthira stand aside. Then one by one, he asks all the Shishyas, all the students there, tell me what you see. Focus the arrow on the bird and tell me what you see. And all of them answer in the same way as Yudhishthira has said. So I see the bird, not only the bird, I see so many other things also. Now, by saying that I see so many other things also, these students, they are who are interested, whose goal is to shoot the bird, but they seem to be distracted by so many other things which are also present there, right? Which are also present there. So this being the case, because that mind is distracted, Dronacharya feels that even though they may leave the arrow may not reach its target exactly. They may miss shooting the bird. Now, finally, after going through all these people, Dronacharya comes to Arjuna and asks Arjuna, now you point the arrow and tell me what is going on, like what and all you can see. Now, when Arjuna points the arrow to the bird, he says that I cannot see anything else except for the bird. Not only that, I don't even see the full bird, I see only the head of the bird. Right? So once Dronacharya listens to this thing mentioned by Arjuna, he understands that Arjuna is the person who is fit, whose arrow is fit to reach the goal, because he is not distracted by anything else apart from this goal itself, which is to shoot the head of the bird. So he doesn't even observe the other things which are there around him. And such a person who is intent on reaching the goal, whose only focus is upon reaching the goal, only such a person can actually reach the goal. So then he asks Arjuna to leave the arrow, and he does in fact reach the goal, and after that Dronacharya is really happy. So the understanding which we get from the story for our purpose here is that in order to reach the goal, which is Ishvara Tattva, to understand to get the knowledge of what Bhagavan is, what is this Swarupa of Bhagavan, which is nothing but Atma Swarupa, the real nature of oneself. To understand this, which is, so this Atma Jnana or Brahma Jnana, Ishvara Jnana is the cause for moksha. So moksha being the goal, for that Jnana, Atma Jnana, Brahma Jnana being the goal, this is alone our focus. That is our Parama Purushartha. This understanding has to come into our mind. The only focus is understanding who Bhagavan is. All the other things which are there in life, for them, only some bare minimum focus is maintained. There is no tatparya with respect to the other things in the mind. That is, with all the dharmartha kama, the other purusharthas which are there, there is no uh, there is not any focus beyond the bare minimum, which is so swadharmanushtanam must be there. One should follow one's own swadharma, but beyond that, desires for various other things which are worldly, that should be removed from the mind. That is called vairagya. Lack of desire for anything which is there, that alone is vairagya. That lack of desire for other things except for understanding Ishvara, except for this moksha purushartha, that is very much important for understanding what Bhagavan is really. Otherwise, our mind will continuously be distracted from the goal. We will not be able to achieve our singular goal of reaching or knowing Bhagavan. So, for this purpose, the qualification of vairagya or dispassion towards the worldly things, towards the things which are not associated to the process of understanding Bhagavan, that is very much essential. So, in spite of availability of all the practices, even though the person may be engaged in the practices, the seeker may be engaged in these practices of abhyasa, jnana, bhakti, etc., without the vairagya, without having dispassion towards the things which are disturbing this process of achieving this goal itself cannot be reached. So that is the meaning which we get from this verse. So now let us move on to the fifth verse. Vairagyam atmabodho bhaktischeti trayam gaditam mukte sadhana madau tatra virago vitrishnata prokta. So now this for the moksha, three direct sadhanas are mentioned here. Vairagyam atmabodha bhaktihi cha iti trayam gaditam muktehe sadhanam. So vairagyam, dispassion, atma bodha. So bodha means knowledge. Knowledge about what? Knowledge about the self. Knowledge about the real nature of the self. Bhakti, devotion. So these are the three sadhanas which are mentioned for achieving, for getting moksha. Tatra virago vitrishnata adau prokta. So among these, the viraga or the lack of desire. Vitrishnata means lack of desire in the worldly things. This is the primary or the first most important one of the sadhanas. So now according to the scriptures, this Atmabodha or the self-knowledge is the direct cause for moksha. But here Vitrishnata or Viraga is said to be the primary or the foremost important sadhanam which has to be adopted. The reason for this is, as we have seen, without adopting Viraga or without adopting this dispassion, one does not get the focus or the undisturbed mind which can move towards understanding the nature of oneself. This undisturbed mind is very important, otherwise the mind is always chanchala or mind is always distracted by other things. A distracted mind cannot gain the self-knowledge and therefore cannot gain moksha also. So therefore undistracted mind is necessary, for which the lack of interest in or the lack of desire for worldly things is very, very important in order to proceed further in the spiritual inquiry process. So this is the meaning of this verse. Dispassion, self-knowledge, bhakti, these are the moksha sadhanam. Among these, dispassion is primary. So with this, we will complete today's discussion and we will proceed further by the grace of Acharyas in the next meeting. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.